Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Sunday Spin. We want to thank you for joining us. As always, we're joined by the two greatest record stores that we are blessed to be associated with. That, of course, is Grooves Records in the 415, our man Kevin Chanel, and the fabulous Ostro Brothers in the 719 at What's Left Records. I'm Vinny G. You know that because you saw the promo. So without further ado, let's congratulate my main man Greno on his brand new three-track release, an EP, I guess you could call it. Priced right at $1 at GrenoBandcamp.com. A little tongue-tied. Excited. Greno, how are you?
Vinny, I'm looking good. You're looking better. And man,
yeah. No more Grizzly Adams, I noticed, right?
Yeah. Kind of switch it up, week to week, month to month. And yeah, man, hey, it's great to be back for the spin. Got a super awesome guest today, our buddy Joel Arquillos, and we'll get to him in a moment. But just want to do, there's been some new music coming out, my bud.
A lot of it.
A lot of good new music by our friends. So first want to give a shout out to our friends, The Talking Hours. They got a new single called Mariachi Fever. And you can find that their website, www.thetalkinghours.com. So easy. Our friends out of Albuquerque, they've been on the show before. Kick-ass musicians, wonderful people. We're excited about them. Next up, Scotty Frazier and Dewey Defeats Truman. San Diego band, great indie rock. First thing they've done in like 20 years. So it's great to see them reunited. 7-song EP out on Bandcamp. Get clear vinyl too that's coming out too. I talked to Scotty. He's going to be on the show. Vinny, I know you're excited about that.
Absolutely.
And then in the anonymous collective realm, we got the new Prefab Soul, which is the Prefab Beats 2018 to 2020, I think, or 19 to 21. Fantastic disc. I mean, just wonderful. 11 tracks by CJ. Just one of our best artists on the label. And then also we got what is it? Oh,
that Shaggy guy.
Can't forget Rick, man. Yeah, 9 Lives. Just in time for Halloween. A new single. This is his third single out of 4 that he's doing for the label. So yeah, man, he's cooking up some good stuff for us, Vinny.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the pumpkin spice fall flavored new disc. I'm digging it.
Thank you.
$1, guys. $1. Man, you can't go to a jukebox and get 3 tunes for $1, and you sure can't get 3 Greno tunes in any jukebox. So, yeah, GrenoBandcamp.com. Man, check it out.
Speaking of checking out, we got, man, Joel and I go back. Probably, let's see, over almost 30 years, probably. Been knowing this guy, making music with him, and just loving him as a person, as a friend. Wonderful human being. Vinny, I know you know that as much as I do. So let's bring him on in. That's your friend and mine, Mr. Joel Arquillos, also known as El Archer, the local flight man, so many other things. Jor-El. What's up, buddy? How are you?
How are you?
Could not be better. Thank you for joining us, Joel.
Oh, man, so great of you to have me. Thank you for having me out. I love your show, and I checked out some of your recent episodes, and I'm floored that you've got me following Marky and Mr. Mike Watt. I mean, come on now.
That's well, I mean, your legend is, from my eyes, it's a story that needs to be shared, and that's what the show is all about. So,
yeah, you guys do great work. Really appreciate the show.
Thank you. Means so much to us, Joel. Awesome, man. It's great to have you on, and thanks for dealing with our new format. We're you're still going to have your full time. We never want to let our guests feel like, okay, now there's a time crunch. Never is the case. We've got a lot to talk to you about. Again, 3, probably 4+ decades of music.
Yeah.
To go on to delve on. You've got a website that we can talk about that you just did, and 5 different books that you're working on, and all these other Picasso paintings and everything.
Painting life.
all you're doing. You Renaissance man, you, Joel. But Vinny, I know you kind of. I'm gonna hand the mic over to Vin for a sec because he always, starts the show really eloquently, and I just want to get it going with Vin and give a shout out. Wow, we already have some comments, guys. So some interaction going on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got Joel in the house. So Vinny, you're up to bat, baby. Lead us up.
You're too kind, my brother. Right? I'm polishing Greno's Emmy after the show, but no, seriously, Joel. One thing that we've kind of been on those fringes. I've never had the pleasure before to actually sit face to face or computer to computer in our age. But before the show, I had to sit you down and ask whereabouts in the 201-908 North Jersey area, because I knew. So Joel, from Hackensack Vinny to Elizabeth, New Jersey. Joel, is that the place where the ShopRite factory is, right?
Yeah, there's also that Budweiser. I don't know if you ever seen that Budweiser thing right off the 19. You can't miss it. You could smell Elizabeth coming. It's a distinct. The ShopRite factory and everything. It's what a place to grow up. I was telling you, I was born in Queens, in New York. My parents immigrated from Spain, and that's where they landed. And but I ended up going to Elizabeth. From grammar school all the way through high school, and that's kind of where I kind of began a music love from the very start. That's my background.
And it hits me so hard because I really gotta believe that if music was hitting you in the time and the place that it was hitting me, you were probably listening to music radio, 77 AM, Dan Ingram, George Michael. Yeah. Your Kimo Sabe, right?
Yeah. Some of that stuff. Yeah. It rings a bell for sure. I mean, I
couldn't miss it. Yeah.
You couldn't. I mean, I was listening also just to AM radio at the time, listening to Howard Stern and all these other folks, that in the morning radios would play like all Ramones and stuff in the early days. But yeah, there's also there's a college nearby, Kane College, which is now called Kane University. And they had actually a really cool college radio station that exposed me to some interesting stuff early on, for sure.
No such thing as an uncool college radio station. Man. God save college radio, right, D?
Seriously.
The lifeblood of indie music. I mean, it really
left of the dial, baby.
From the beginning. Absolutely. So, Joel, what was the first rock and roll band that you were involved with? That's what everyone really inquiring minds want to know. And we want to know details too.
Oh my God.
Some of the backstage madness and craziness. And we hear that you were quite a wild man in some of these bands that you have been in.
Well, my friend, I know you would know. You've been my closest associate in all of these.
I wouldn't know. I don't know. That's why I'm prodding you. I don't know anything about this. Vinny doesn't either.
Well, I mean, look, seriously, the only real rock band I could say really started off with was when in Northern California was with you in Patch. That's the only real semi-touring rock band, recording band that I was first a part of, that really kind of put me on stage and allowed me to do everything that I had imagined I would want to do. As I remember moving out west from New York, because I went to school in New York, and I had done some music in New York City with a friend of mine that we played some stuff together, but we never played a show. We always talked about doing it, but never got the courage to actually get out there. But then moving out west, this is in 93, I think it was. 93, went out west and ended up meeting, Adam and who I met through school. We were actually at a program together. And then I got introduced to you, Glenn, and to Eric, and lived at the infamous Patch House there on Petaluma Road and Petaluma Hill Road. And
the notorious Patch House.
The notorious Patch House. Some of the there was stuff going on there before we moved in. That's just things of legend that I, who knows, how true they were. But man, some pretty amazing stuff going on in that place. If that carpet could speak, the stories it would tell, the amount of beer that was probably soaked up by that rug.
That wasn't licked up by the dogs.
It was cleaned, very, very cleaned by the dogs. Her mom made the dog Ma was very good at cleaning up that rug. But yeah, that was my first foray into it. And you know, I played in some stuff before that with a friend of mine, Eben Henner, who I don't know if you remember. He has since moved,
Yes.
and we played some little things together. But when I moved in, you guys already had your band formed. I mean, it was you on drums and Adam and Eric, and you know, I think it was Adam or someone asked if I was interested in singing. I probably made a lot of, you know, moves in that direction, like, hey, you guys might need a singer at some point. And so I jumped in. I jumped in and we played, I guess, like 4 years together, right? We were together through 97 at least.
Yeah. I was not the original drummer of Patch, interestingly enough. It's a guy named Sean. And they were together for like a year with Sean, and Sean had never played drums, and they were trying to do this, you know, how Adam writes music, very complex and a lot of parts and stuff. So, but they winged it. They sounded great. They did a little stuff thing with Mermaid, a couple songs on a compilation, and then and then I joined, and then I just remember we were like, none of us really wanted to sing. Like I sang the first couple tunes that we did, and then we're like, hey, look, there's Joel over there, like sitting with his notebook where he's probably writing lyrics for all we know. And then I remember you jammed with us a couple times and just improvised very smoothly, and like just right away, like you had a vibe and a presence, and like you're real natural, man, like a really natural front man. It came very easily, it looked like, to you. Talk about that a little bit. Did it come easy, or?
I mean, you know, hey, thanks for all the kind words, by the way, Glenn. It's really, really, really kind of you. I mean, no, it didn't come easily, but I think because I had a background in just like not worrying too much about how stupid I might look or how, you know, I came across, I just kind of jumped in and just gave it a whirl. And it was cool because, I mean, it was, I mean, you could probably barely hear me. I mean, you guys were like, you know, powerhouse trio. And I had some little, I think I bought some, I think I was plugged into somebody else's amp trying to get some of my first vocal stuff going. But eventually just kind of got used to the vibe. And it's really interesting. Like that's become kind of the thing I do in the music that I've made with you, Glenn, and others folks. But it's like really finding whatever that melody or whatever that sound is going to be, that's going to be the vocals, and then write lyrics around that. But that whole process is inspiring, right? Because like I come to it, sometimes the song would have a name already, but there is maybe a melody that wasn't there yet that I could maybe discover as an instrument. You know, I'd come in, that would be my instrument. And I wouldn't say I was singing as much as I was probably, you know, I mean, at first it was probably just trying to find, you know, a groove and some kind of like vocalization to it that really worked out. And yeah, I would just kind of get into a flow with words and let that kind of like just free association thing just move me. And at the time I sort of thought of myself as a poet. You know, I was very into writing and you know, I did some writing projects early on before that. And so this was kind of a nice, natural sort of thing to try out. And, you know, and I'll be honest, man, like I came from the East Coast. I didn't grow up on deep punk roots like a lot of you guys had. You guys were very like West Coast. You knew your stuff. And I was introduced to a world of incredible music that to this day, I'm just so grateful to, like the Minutemen and all the great things that you guys would always play, Rocket from the Crypt, all the great San Diego sounds. And it's just, that blew me away. And I came from grew up on like a Velvet Underground and kind of like an East Coasty Gothic, kind of like the Smiths or Bauhaus or all that kind of like a more, you know, English kind of influence stuff, you know? But that was an education for me to just jump in there. And I was, you know, lucky that you guys were cool enough to let me keep bringing some of that sound in, and we evolved, right?
Yeah, and that's a great answer, Joel. But you know, I really love what you just said about a subject that I harp on damn near weekly on the show, and that's regions of indie rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so nice to have that example set before our listeners. And I really want to thank you for that, because it's very true. I got to California much younger. It's very unlikely I would have had the same influences at that impressionable age. You were very wise to pick up on it at your age and appreciate it. And I'm sure you got a different meaning out of it than we did. But one thing that I really want to congratulate you on is being the lead singer, because that's something I could never do. And there's 3 reasons. I can't sing, I can't dance, and I got a face only mom could love, and she's kind of on it, right?
Isn't there a song in there?
Let's write a song right now about that.
That's a tragic tale, right? Yeah, 3 chords and a cloud of dust. But anyway, yeah, it takes a set of snow peas. It really does. And I want to congratulate you. What was the hardest obstacle, though, in the very beginning? You mentioned just being the poet and making the sounds. Confidence-wise, what was the biggest hurdle?
I guess I didn't want to be corny. You know what I mean? I didn't want to like, be the reason the band was, maybe not seen in a good light, because I really loved the sound of Patch already. Like, I mean, there had already, like Glenn said, there had already been a drummer before, but there's already been this music that had been developed, and Glenn had brought in some great songs as well. And so I wanted to make sure I could stick with the authenticity of that music and be able to fit into it. But I also wanted to bring in sort of something of my own, like everybody hears a different tune, everybody hears a different melody coming out of a sound. And because my roots were a little different, I brought in some of that influence from my background. I think I do have a melody, sort of a tendency to go towards melody. And I think that might be a little different from some of the more punk traditions of other bands, but I feel like I tried to have some kind of a storytelling aspect to it where there would be, usually a theme and playing on some theme. So yeah, it was a confidence in making sure I could. I mean, look, here's the funny story. I think our first show ever, right? It was at somebody's house. It was some big party, and we were playing in the backyard. It was outdoors, and I remember getting so excited and trying to do my thing that I jumped. I made a jump and I fell into what turned out to be a septic system. So I literally, in my first show, was knee deep in shit.
It doesn't get any more punk rock than that, does it, Greta?
I mean, at the time, I didn't realize it was punk rock, but I played it off, and I didn't realize. But I broke somebody's septic system. But yeah, so if I could get through that and then continue to play with these guys and come back and lose half my hearing, I made it a point to make it work, and I think we did. I mean, yeah, those first Patch songs, which I believe what was the name of that compilation that Mermaid put together? Was Dig It or
Dig This?
Dig This, yes. That was an incredible recording that really introduced me to the sounds of Sonoma County, which you and Eric really put together, like really brought together like a lot of these different bands from around the region, and you really introduced me sort of like to the wide array of different kinds of musicians that existed in the area. So that was I knew I was walking into a group of people that kind of understood that there was a wide variety of ways of moving something. And so that also helped me feel more confident in thinking, all right, these guys are cool with some experimenting and some other different ways of looking at this.
Yeah, I mean, and shout out to Adam and Eric. I mean, 2 amazing musicians. I mean, Adam, the bass, like I've never had so much fun playing with a bass player other than like Rob and like a handful of other. I mean, blessed, you guys know, with all the great bass players I've been able to play with, but Adam's at the top of the list, an amazing songwriter. And then Eric, I mean, just on guitar, just a unique, really just aggressive but melodic style, trebly, like real D-Bloon influenced, D-Bloon. And no, but he was, yeah, the Minutemen were a huge thing for our band. But yeah, Joel, so I know that you got to record with Greg Freeman right where the Giant Stadium now sits. So talk a little bit about going to Lowdown. It was called Lowdown Studios, and that experience where a lot of bands like Frightwig, Oddfellows, Local 282, so many bands recorded there. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that was an incredible experience, right? To go to a real recording studio in San Francisco and to be produced by a real like gem, like a real professional and a real patient, cool guy who, wasn't rushing us, really liked us, which I thought that's the beginning of a good relationship, right? He liked us, he respected us, and gave us the time that we needed in there. Yeah, that whole period of the experience of recording and being part of that process was just so awesome. Was so uplifting, especially because like, yeah, we knew about Pell Mell too, right? Which is like that was like a big deal, and really listened to those albums, and also really interesting connection to some of the work we've done now is how that music was designed early on, right? It was musicians from different places sending each other things and then recording together. So this guy, and we did it on tape, right? Which I think a lot of studios are all doing everything on digital now. But it was on tape. That was also a funny thing because we ran out of tape at some point.
We did,
which created a whole weird thing. But being in the studio is, you guys laid down the instrumental stuff first, and then I would come in and do vocals, and really, feeling by that time we had been a pretty like solid band. Like we knew those songs inside out, and we were ready to put them down, and so that confidence of knowing, of having tested it like at shows and having played it so much, and then coming in, you guys were just solid. I mean, literally, we did this in like 2 days, right? We recorded all those songs.
As Watt would say, we jammed Econo. We did pretty much. We did 90% of the basic tracks on Saturday, and then Sunday we came back. There was a couple guitar little things that Eric was like, "It's kind of weird. I want to change that." And then other than that, it was your vocals and stuff, and the sitar and the other dobra you were playing. But man, I know, what a great saxophone. Greg Freeman, the master of the punch in, Vinny. Yeah. Like this guy could punch in a full band like on a dime. Like, yeah, shout out to Greg too. What a gift to be able to work with Greg, and like, yeah, Pell Mell is just like phenomenal. His other project too, Checksum. Joel, you got me the CD. I remember back in the day. Yeah. And then like getting to play talk about some of the bands that you got to open up for, my brother. Like huge, like massively huge bands.
Yeah,
like, we years and no, I'm just kidding.
We got the nice sort of thing up in the Santa Rosa area, but we and we kind of played there mostly, but we, thanks to you and your connections down in San Diego, we played some great shows there. We even played the Casbah, and which was fantastic. I mean, I remember the ones that stick out for sure is No Means No. That was probably one of our coolest shows at the end of the beginning. We're so blown away with the record people who were there as well from the label.
Jello was there.
Walking around, and we're like, holy shit, Jello Biafra's at this show. And
California. Sorry.
What was the name of the band that opened up after that also played that show? I forget their name. I think it was on the label too, but so suck it up. But yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, we did that crazy show we did was it Cafe This with Sublime. Yeah, they opened up the show, and this was like maybe a year before the passing, but of his passing, and they actually stayed at the Patch House that night, which I missed out on. I had to go hang out with my girlfriend, and I didn't stay. But apparently, they didn't make a huge mess of our place. But Adam and Eric, I don't know if you got to hang out there as well, but like they slept over and had a nice party. Went on for the rest of the night.
There for a while hanging out. They're wonderful people.
Lovely dudes, actually.
Yeah. Amazing guys.
Yeah, but I think we were supposed to open for 3 Mile Pilot at one point too, but I don't know if that worked out. Yeah,
we did. No, that was Mermaid, but that was the Mermaid traveling show. I think you were a part of that. And to bridge some gaps here too, Rafter we had on a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
was a part of that show as well. Yeah, Vinny, we had this Mermaid traveling show, which was like the jam band for the label. So it was like Shaggy, myself, Rafter, Joel, whoever else we could pull together. Kind of Kevin Chanel's version of Fern Trio that went forth.
Yeah.
I remember it well. Absolutely. I was a big fan. I was right here in the 6th floor at the time, cleaning pools. And I do remember absolutely all the happenings up north and how jealous I was, because frankly, I was playing in a band that was playing Green Day covers. And tough time to be a musician in the 6th floor. And yeah, I missed out. I certainly did, and I'm highly jealous. But yeah, you guys have a legacy, and Patch was more than a band. I mean, they were an influence. And it's a great story.
That's wonderful to hear. I mean, yeah, I mean, put out that one CD, which I put on that website, which is, thank you for putting that up. But we also had, I mean, on Mermaid Records, we had like our first car, which was like such a great recording experience to put that together at the Patch House mostly, right? And you know, those evenings going late and kind of getting a little crazy, capturing some of that footage, but also some of that Sublime stuff made its way into, you know, didn't we? Some of the recordings that I forget who the name of that character. What was his name? Yeah. There was some of that stuff spilling in a little bit here and there too, which was such an interesting time, and all these different, you know, elements coming together and influencing different ideas. I'd love that. And you were the master of that, Glenn, just kind of bringing in all these different pieces and really layering it and editing it in. So, but yeah, we
still is, I might add.
I know. I mean, the man's like, I can't keep up with the
iconic.
Yeah. Like insane how much stuff you put out. It's amazing. So,
what else to do?
Yeah.
What else am I going to do? Make bread? I did my yard work this morning, guys. And done in an hour. It's like Jeff Tweedy's got a song about Wilco from Wilco. He's got this song, and I think it was around the time where he was, you know, getting over addiction and stuff. But it's like, how many lawns can I mow? How much laundry can I do? How much? I love that song. I love.
Yeah, I totally feel your pain, because I wake up many mornings and it's like, work on tracks, work on laundry.
You know, reality hits you, right?
Yeah, I need a maid. Yeah, you know, maybe if the show takes off, right? I don't know. So,
yeah. Well,
so Joel, you know, it's very important to us at this point, that we give you a chance to pay a little homage, say your thank yous, basically what we call the shout out time. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah.
Homage, and what in particular am I shouting out here?
Whatever your heart feels, my brother.
I mean, gosh, homage. I mean, just so grateful. I mean, I already kind of started talking a little bit about just being a part of like meeting you guys. I mean, meeting you, Glenn, and Adam and Eric and Santa Rosa, and just building out from that foundation. I'm also grateful, Glenn, you and I lived together in Santa Rosa proper for a while, and I'm so grateful to you, because you're the first person I ever met who had a 4-track recorder. And super grateful for that little machine, because
always ahead of his time. That's our man G.
I mean,
right?
The man was always recording, and always still doing it. And not to mention like the sickest record collection too. Like I got an education. Like I've stolen a few of his records too, but I'll take them back at some point. But, you know,
all my good friends do.
Yep. I think it's badge of honor, actually, Joel.
Wanted to thank you for that. So that's my shout out there as well. But that 4-track, man, like when we lived together, that was the foundation of a lot of those solo things that I started to do on my own, where I really began to just explore a sound that I had started exploring some time before when I'd started playing guitar. And it just really just opened up a world where I was dreamed about like laying down a track and then being able to put some vocals and then playing with that and then layering in some other things. And I think Cullen gave me like some kind of a special device he had that I could put on a mic that would create all these loops and weird sort of effects. So thanks to Eric Cullen as well, Shaggy. Shout out to that man.
Killing it.
He's also a recording monster, a DJ and host. I mean, like you guys are living the life for real. You guys are keeping that going.
Oh, we walk among greatness every day, don't we, Grena? We're so lucky to have friends and associates and, you know, these alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've built community, which is like also so critical, right? Like keeping a community alive. And the Anonymous Collective is a community of musicians you're promoting, but are also part of other projects. And it's that same tradition that you've carried on, which is great.
I want to just point out, I'm glad that you brought up your solo stuff, because Jarrell is an excellent songwriting, you know, mechanism device for you to explore really creative ways of doing songs. And like, I loved playing on 3 or 4 of the records that you did. kind of fast forward into now after all that great solo music and then with Patch, and you kind of re-inspired me and reinvigorated me when we kind of started doing this local flight project. And since then, I've done a lot more collaborations with people, work like Vinny, the Skinny Mulligans, and a bunch of
kick-ass record. I was
Thank you,
listening
my
to
brother. Thank you.
Really nice recording, fellas. Well
Thank
done.
you. Well, we got to get you a copy. We're definitely that's.
I have my copy for sure.
So. Oh, that's right.
Wow.
I keep forgetting that I just saw your.
You hooked me up big time. It was very, very nice. So making my way through that amazing assortment of records.
Oh, that's awesome. And but yeah, local flight, man. Haven't really had a chance to let people know what it's been about, other than the fact that we put out a solid release. Maybe you can just tell people, because it's kind of a long distance, unique kind of thing. So I'm involved. I'd rather hear you talk about it than myself, and I know Vinny too would like to know a little bit about that.
Well, I'd also rather hear Joel talk about it than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man, that it's funny. Like we've off and on for the last like maybe 10 years, Glenn. We've like maybe we hear from each other, like we'll have a great conversation, then we won't talk or hear from each other for a while. But this came out of the blue. You're like, hey, man, I'm working on some stuff. I've got some pieces I want you to maybe do something on. And it came at the perfect time because I was already kind of in a place where work was kicking my ass, and I was in the middle of kind of maybe starting up a project to go back into school, which I'm doing now. And you sent me these tracks, and I was like, holy shit, this is a whole new layer of stuff that I was like, I can work with this. This is like a really interesting new take. And so I would, take each of your tracks, and I mean, I don't have any high tech stuff. So I just bring it into my garage band and I bring it as a track and then just practice and play on it and just do demos, trying to find that sound, and trying not to spill too much over it. Like I just wanted to just find what were the spots where I could really like add something. And what I loved that was different about it too is that it didn't have like a sequence that was typical of songs, right? It just kind of had a flow. And I found a way to kind of like dance with that a little bit. I hate to use that metaphor, but it was kind of like the singing dance of like, how do I like join this stream that's already been designed here? And how do I add something that might give it some interesting sort of layers? And that's what I did. I just used voice and words to pop some stuff in there. And then I did a little bit of editing as well to just kind of, cut out. There's some takes were just like I overdid it. Like I just went really deep into, and I just overdid it. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of like writing, right? Like I've been sort of leading writing organization for the last 15 years. So a lot of my metaphors go back to that now. And but like you just kind of throw it all out there, and then you got to take the time to sort of cut back the things that don't work, and then refine the things that are good. And having that space and time to do it, where like we could have like hung out together and had multiple hangouts and built something, but it wouldn't have been the same as this, where you're sending me something you've already designed and I can come in and add a layer to it. And it was fantastic, man. Like, I mean, you would literally send me a track and then I'd send it back to you. And then you send me another track. And I think we went back and forth like for a few months, just getting tracks together. And some were a lot more challenging for me than others, but those that challenged me, like I remember just doing take after take after take and building out this kind of like this thing that just became Local Flight, this like 6-song collection that I'm really proud of, man. I really feel like we did a really nice collaboration there.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID too. That was the interesting thing. It was kind of a project that would usually during that time, it's easier to, Vinny, like our project with, this 1966 record was, COVID time and sitting at home, winter, let's make a summer record, and that's what we did. And, but yeah, the Local Flight stuff was very, but yeah, inspired a lot more work ahead, Joel. So thank you for that. And I know that we're going to do a new single. So keep up on the Bandcamp edge too with the Local Flight. And we got, Anonymous Pacific Records, Anonymous Collective Records. Wow. All the bands have their own, Bandcamp, things like just Local Flight, Dangerous Days, Prefab Soul. Joel, you got to check out Prefab Soul. You'll really like it. Yeah, it's a friend of ours, CJ, newer to the label. This is only the second release. But yeah, check them out on Bandcamp.
Yep.
Doing great work for the label. So, but yeah, man, we're excited to see what the local flat comes up with next.
Do it. Yeah, I'm excited about these songs that you sent me, and the one that we're going to release very soon here. I think it's a pretty good one, man. So excited to put that out there.
Yeah, it's a new sound too.
Yeah, it's different,
right?
Different.
We're gonna keep moving. You know, we'll take a little bit of that Bowie aesthetic of just keep moving forward no matter what.
No doubt.
Yeah, well, an eager world awaits, guys. Honestly.
Well, thanks, Vin.
Yeah, I can't wait. Things are blooming all over, right?
It's incredible. It's amazing how much music that all of our friends are doing. All the people are. It's getting back to a creative world, no matter the adversity that people are facing, and we're still seeing some negativity and anger, but we always combat it with love and music and creativity.
Yep.
And Joel, you're a big part of that. You've been not just with music, but especially with writing, and done a lot for the community there in Los Angeles.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
So thank you for all that. I know you've meant so much to so many kids out there, man, and you've made such a huge difference to so many people. So thank you,
brother. Appreciate that, man. Yeah.
And I want to echo exactly what Greno says, because we could stand here and talk about our achievements and our music and the people we touch all day long. And granted, that's all very, very important, and it's why we're here, man. I wouldn't change a minute of that.
That's beautiful.
But the story is so much farther than that in your case, Joel. And yeah, I mean, a city owes you their love and their respect.
Listen, I've been lucky to get the kinds of things I've been a part of, and just fallen into the right places, but always focused on trying to just do things that are interesting and different and are gonna eventually elevate people. Helping others kind of find their voices has been a passion of mine for a while, and I get to do that as working with great musicians, and also maybe helping other young people who don't get that kind of attention, getting that support. So
yeah,
we'll see where it all goes, man.
It's invaluable, my friend. Yeah, it's much needed in these times. So yeah, I'm just glad that we're all doing what we can. We do what we can on the Sunday Spin each and every week. 4 p.m. back time Pacific.
Yeah. Keep it up,
man. And Joel, by the way, you followed the two muscle men, as we would call them, punk rock muscle men, just fine, my brother. You were amazing. You were great.
I was so nervous, man. That was some serious. I mean, I can't wait to see who else you bring on the show. I mean, it's going to be. I know you have a long list of amazing artists on the way. So keep it up, you guys. Seriously, this is important.
What would you like to see, though? And they just rattle off, if you were just chilling, who would I want to see on the Spin? Is there?
Yeah. Give us a dream 3, Joel.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh my God.
We're not a jam band. Come on.
I know. And I see that's the thing. I really wanted to make Patch a jam band, and I'm glad you talked me out of that. And I wanted to bring that wah-wah guitar sound in, and Well, have you brought Rob in yet? Has Rob done one of these yet?
That's right.
Which one?
Rob Abramson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's a mainstay here.
He was in season 1. We couldn't get rid of him. Then he had another kid, so we probably won't see him till season 4.
You children, man. He's putting out some beautiful kids. God, I don't know. I mean, I know you guys just, I'll say this. Look, Glenn, you have been a teacher to me in terms of music and folks that you have brought on. And I know that any of those people that you admire, you reach out to them, they're going to do this show because you have a nice track record here.
Bob Lee. I'm going to ask Bob.
How about I've met him a bunch of times at shows. There's a great venue down the way where he's just always around.
I met him at Bottom of the Hill once, but yeah, a friend on social media, I was going to reach out and get Bob, monster drummer. Plus, I guess Mike Watt mentioned that the Black Gang, Mike's going to probably do a 4th opera, and I think Black Gang Coffee. They'll do it. And that's with Nels too. So it's what a lineup. Mike Watt, Nels Klein, and Bob Lee.
Who's down the street soon is Earthless. You introduced me to those guys.
Love Earthless. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Watt, I wanted to tell 2 jokes. I know you're a Tortoise guy.
Yes.
I was playing with Jeff Parker last weekend.
No way.
No, same show. I don't think it was the same band. I think Watt was jamming with some other folks. But yeah, Jeff Parker, because he was saying most of the Tortoise guys live out there. So yeah, if we could get JP on the show, that would be.
David Pajo is down the street. I've seen him in a few things. He lives around here. Yeah, there's a lot of like great guys who are like a lot of Tortoise guys who've moved into this area as well, which is such a trip, man, to see. I go to the local, to the Trader Joe's, and there's a ton of musicians who've moved here, so it's awesome. So yeah, I want you to guide, and I want to see what you come up with and who you bring in, man. I'm really excited about it.
Appreciate it. On that note, another edition of the Sunday Spin. Vinny, next week, what's going on? Some weirdness with some cover band or something?
Oh yeah, but before we get into that, man, I got to give a shout out to my man and his brand new show, Greno's Groove Yard. Greno, tell us all about it. It's great to have you back on the air, my man.
Yeah, back on KCOS, weekly show, playing a lot of anonymous collective stuff like Local Flight and Skinny Mulligans. That's in fact, Joel Bloom is going to be on the first inaugural episode. Yeah, man, just playing the a little bit of the history of the label. Been around 11 years. A lot of the new music. Excited for the opportunity. We'll get you guys involved. Absolutely. Do those little promos to me for Joel, like. This is Joel Arquillos, and you're listening to Greno's Groove Yard. I need
the Joel Arquillos bumper, which it will be on eBay next week after Greno gets done with it, right?
I will sexy it up, man. I will do it.
Always do. You always do. So Grooves Records in a couple weeks. We're doing an in-store. Super excited about that. I know. Yeah.
Nice.
So be a part of that. We can get anyone wants to come on that show and hang out with us on Halloween Day. Next week, it's Dem Bones, which is a local Alice in Chains related cover project. Some friends of mine, and we're doing a Saturday night spin, Vin.
Yeah, Saturday night's all right for fighting, right? Get a little action in.
Exactly.
Yes, SATURDAY night.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, can't wait. And we got the Eddies coming.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Pacifica's finest pint size indie rock band.
They might do a live performance, Stars After Stars. And then the week after that, man, Jason Hill, another Poway alumni, Louis the 14th, Convoy. And he also, now he's like an award-winning music composer for Netflix. Mindhunter and a bunch of other, man. Jason's awesome. And again, from Poway, so we're super stoked about having him. It's just the Stars After Stars, baby. So Joel.
If our guidance counselor could see us now, right, Greno?
Oh man, I'm telling you, don't look over the shoulder because all I see is Audrey Hepburn. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, Joel, thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
And hey, we'll see you guys next week on the Spin, 4 p.m. Or no, gosh, Vinny. Saturday, man. Saturday, right? Daylight savings is coming. Halloween's coming. My man's excited. I'm excited. Why shouldn't we be excited? We'll see you on Saturday, man. Spin to win.
All right, gentlemen.